all right. So the deportations, right? What's really interesting about it, and the concern that I have, is that some of these countries, such as I'm gonna use Colombia for example, because this is very recent. This just happened. They denied deportation flights, so they didn't allow the U.S. to just deport and send people back there. So it's not as easy as Trump just being like
That also has been going on though before. Like, so I don't want that just people to think that's just when they was doing that when Biden as well.
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So with Colombia, they denied it. But first, I'm gonna stick on Colombia for a sec because I got a question. But they denied it, and then Trump, he had pushback and he put some tariffs on Colombia and stuff, and there's some tension right now. It's ongoing, so we're not gonna break down the details too much until we get a little bit more facts. This is super recent. So, but what's interesting to me is those people who were being deported. Obviously, they're not just going to come back into the States and go back to their regular lives. So, what is Trump going to do with them? We had these camps before where all these people were in these. I mean, they were in these internment camps, being held like prisoners. Like, are we going to refer back to that? Is that where are these people going to go? Because for these people to be really pro-life, because that's the whole notion regarding the abortions. These people are pro-life. Is the health and quality of life of these people really the most important thing, or are we just going to keep them in these camps with poor qualities of life and unstable situations until he can, get them out of here? Me personally, I think, like, for him to try to deport them and it got denied, he can't just send these people everywhere. If these people are here already, let's make this situation work. They've already been here. They had a situation. Obviously, a lot of these people are working because these ICE raids are happening at places of work. So, I mean, if they're just sitting around in the street or in the house or something, then they wouldn't really need the need to go to these places of work and schools and things of that nature. But, let the people who are here already kind of figure it out, get them back in a situation where, they work and contribute to the society instead of putting them and their families, like, if they're even with their family, because that's another thing. A lot of these people could have just been ripped away from their family. But just putting them in a situation where they can be contributions. And then for people who are trying to come in, like, okay, then you can enforce the law, But if they're already here and you're trying to go and ship them off, and you're doing more damage to them than you are good to the society, then that's not adding up to me. So, what do you think, man? What do you think about these deportations? These people that are being affected, the families, how it affects society. Just let us know your thoughts regarding that.
This is a complicated one because there's many different. Like, it's not just somebody came in and now they're being shipped out. Like, there's a lot of different factors that go into this. If somebody's asking me, do I agree with just going and snatching anybody that has ever came in this country illegally and sending them on their way? No, because I know people that have been in this country and they didn't come in here illegally and they ended up working, paying taxes, blase blase. But now, if you're talking about people that have came in this country and let's say not paying taxes, are they benefiting our society at that point, or are they taken away from it? Because we hear a lot of and this is just the money. We can get into the family and stuff part, but on the money side is we hear about stories of where people come to this country to send money back to other countries. So if they're taking money from in the United States, a job away from somebody that's in the United States, regardless if they're legal or illegal, taking a job away from somebody, not paying taxes on that for the school system, like everything that operates that the government is making us pay for, and sending it back to another country for their family back home or something like that. That's a different conversation. And I think the easy fix would be to make those, if those people are willing, hey, you can either go back or you can pay taxes.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? Like, and that's a situation. Then there's the criminal aspect.
Yeah.
Because there's been talks, because this has been going on for years now. Especially when Biden administration opened up the borders, some of these countries have been letting people out and sending people off, like Venezuela and like some of these other places. They talked about like a Venezuelan gang that is taking over apartment. Like that part of it's like, yo,
yeah,
we got to get them up out of here. You feel me? Like, because and those were some, because that's I was talking about before, like the flights denying hasn't just happened. They were talking about this before, where they weren't allowing flights to go back to Venezuela with the people. Why are you not taking your people back? You know what I mean? Like, is it because you know some of these are criminals? I'm not saying they all are criminals, but do you know there's a group of criminals in there and you don't want to open up that situation where they got to come back into your society?
Right.
Or is there something else to it? So I think there's just so many aspects where it's just not cut and dry. Like, you will have to look at individuals and be like, what is this individual doing in the U.S.? Like, what is their contribution to society? What was their situation? Do they got family here and stuff? And then judge it based on that. I don't know what the situation is like with the Trump administration as far as what they're doing, as far as vetting these people. Are they just taking everybody, or are they just taking some people? Like, what does that look like? I generally don't know. But yeah, like that for me, I will say you have to judge based on one, are they committing criminal acts. I say if you, especially if you just came into America over the last few years, the last administration, I would say if you've been committing criminal acts, hey, you got to go. Like, why are you doing anything? First of all, you got in this country illegally, and then you came in here and doing illegal things, whatever that is. All right, you need to bounce. But if you're in this country, especially if you've been in this country for like past administration, all right, that should be a different, like, handled in a different way.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that, because there was a whole thing when I think it was like 2 years ago. It was the Chinese. They was on TikTok and they had a whole, like, you come in at this part of the border, do this, and then go. Like, they literally had instructions for people to come in, and that was for the Chinese. So we're not even talking about anybody in South America anymore. So people from all the way from China coming here and getting inside the country, that's a whole nother, because we was talking about DEI, and it's not just for black people. This ain't just for Southern American people.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a lot of different people. That there's Africans that have snuck in here. There's
Canadians.
Like, there's a lot of people that have snuck into this country. So yeah, it's a very, very complicated situation. Like, it's very complicated, and I know the news is going to paint it in a certain way, and Trump, he's going to talk it in a certain way as well. But the reality of the situation is, some places, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to just say one thing or another. I think there's some people that shouldn't be in this country. And I think there's some people that can contribute a lot to this country. And then there's a gray area in the middle that you'll have to make a decision in.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they're actually doing to even say what is what. I know he's increased it, and and that's going to look away, especially when you're talking about the camps that they used to have.
Yeah.
I don't know if they should go back to the camps, but you got to figure out something. Like, either any way you look at it, there's going to be money that's going to be spent that we shouldn't have had to spend, because once again, the money is coming from taxpaying citizens.
Yeah.
So that's just money that we don't have to spend. It's going to have to be spent somewhere, whether it's flying people back, whether it's keeping people here and giving them assistance to help them. Because if you get them in our society, now you got to go through the courts and all of that. All of that stuff got to be paid for. The judges got to be paid for. The people that's doing all the paperwork and all that. Like, this is going to be an expensive process either way that you look at it. Or if you keep people in the camps and stuff, it's going to be an expensive process. You got to build the camps and all of this stuff. Have personnel to watch them. So any way you look at it, it's going to be expensive. And whatever they do, regardless of how you feel, I'd rather have them do it now, be done with it within a year, and then moving forward, operate however they want to operate as far as the border is concerned. But don't drag this part on we can't be doing this 4 years down the road.
And let's be clear, this didn't just start happening. Yes, the deportations, and the I guess the sanctions he's putting on. Yeah. But there's been a lot of kickback. Even during the election, one of the points of one of the argument points was people didn't like all the money that the Biden administration was using on funding undocumented citizens. So people coming in, getting free housing, they're getting a lot of government assistance, and they're not even U.S. citizens. So that stuck with a lot of American citizens, whether you're white, black, or whatever. That's just money talk. Yeah. From a money standpoint, it didn't sit right with a lot of people. They're paying taxes for somebody else to come and stay in the country. So, yeah, let's get that clear. This isn't a new issue. This has been going on.
Been going on for a long time, actually.
Yeah.
It's. I feel like it's always a point of contention, as far as when they get around the presidential conversations. Mm-hmm. But it got really big because of what they were doing at the last administration, of how openly it was, like we talked about before. You could visually see millions of people coming across the border.
Yeah,
I don't remember ever seeing that. I remember them talking about it, but I never remember seeing waves of people just coming across the border and them getting in the I never seen that. So when you talk about so this situation is going to be very loud, because like you said, part of the reason Trump is in office because he said, hey, we're going to change this.
All right.
And that was what a lot of Americans seem to want it, obviously. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so yeah, this is a tricky situation. And like we were saying, we mentioned it on one of the other podcasts, there's also the big corporations.
Yeah.
They use cheap labor, whether you realize it or not. There's factories, there's agricultural jobs, there's different jobs out here that they try to go and get cheap labor from illegal immigrants, and boom.
And whether it's here on U.S. soil or not, they're just going to offshore it if it can't be here. I'm going to be real. It's not going to stop that. Yeah. That's not going to change. Them getting that cheap labor is not going to change. It's just a matter of where it's coming from.
Yep.
So that's it's an important ongoing development we're seeing right now. Really want to put emphasis that it is not just just a black and white thing. This is an American citizen thing. We saw groups like Latinos for Trump. One of their points for being with Trump is they did not like a lot of people coming across the border because it gave them competition. You know, it made it harder for them. You know, sort of.
Because you gotta think, well, like, and it's not, and not to cut you off, but it's not just like people don't like stereotypes, but a lot of those Latinos and stuff, they own like a lot of them that been here a long time, they own construction companies, they own landscaping companies. What is a lot of them gonna come over here and try to do? If you illegal, if you don't have any documents, there's only so many things you can do.
Yep.
So then you telling me I done been here for so long, got my papers or whatever the situation is, and you telling me they can just come over here and hey.
Nah.
It's tough.
It is. Most definitely. So that's something we'll keep an eye on, you know, through the next few weeks, months, you know, because I'm sure that this is just getting started as far as these stories we're hearing. There's going to be some developments we'll hit on, so.